Good morning, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Hope you have a great day today. Well, on this date, Christmas Day in 1776, George Washington and his troops pulled off one of the great iconic moments in the history of the Revolutionary War, the crossing of the Delaware, to attack German mercenaries near Trenton, New Jersey on December 26. On April 19, 1775, the Brits and the colonials fought at Lexington and then at Concord. Here's Concord Bridge. Britain had to retreat. Not long after that, Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys captured Fort Ticonderoga out in the Lake Champlain region, so that was a big win for the colonials. Not long after that was the Battle of Bunker Hill, which was a win, but a costly win for England. And the Brits were pretty sober at this point. They hadn't been doing so great. In December, Benedict Arnold and the army went through Maine trying to capture Quebec City, and they almost were victorious, but were defeated at the very end. And then in 1776 in March, England decided we're going to quit Boston. They evacuated Boston. The cannon from Fort Ticonderoga overlooked the city, and this is known as Evacuation Day, and it's still a school holiday in Boston today. So the Brits decided to focus on New York. So if you look in the upper part of the map, you can see the Hudson River. You see all these lines and things, but lots of maneuvering between Washington's army and the English army. And Washington basically had to keep retreating, so he finally went down to the lower left on the map where you see Trenton, New Jersey, across the Delaware from Pennsylvania. So the plan was on this day, Christmas Day, cross the river at night, attack Trenton where the German mercenaries were. Now, why were there German mercenaries in the first place? Well, the English kings known as the Georges were all German. That's a real fascinating story all by itself. So George III, the king during the Revolution, was German, and they hired Germans to help. So one artist's view has Washington on the bank as his soldiers go ahead, and then once they're all ready, he'll cross and lead them in combat. But Mr. Lutz, Emanuel Lutz, had a whole different view. He was of German extraction. He was inspired by the revolutions in Germany, Central Europe in 1848, and he wanted a painting that showed heroic revolutionaries. So here's George standing up, which he probably didn't do in the daylight, except it was at night, looking forward, and this is just full of energy. And people love to look at some of the details of the painting and say, hold it, that's not quite right. For instance, the flag here is probably incorrect. This is probably what the flag looked like in 1776. But Lutz didn't really care. He wanted that painting to show a message of bravery and patriotism and nationalism and so on. Now, some of the details are fascinating. For instance, everybody in Washington's boat has a different outfit on, so different work and different layers of society. The man holding the flag is probably James Monroe, who will become President Monroe later. So that's a nice touch. The boat that Washington and the guys used was probably more like this, a higher side, a bit more stable, longer, wider, because they had to carry horses, they had to carry ammo, they had to get all these guys across. And how do you do that over an ice-filled river in the winter? Well, John Glover, pictured here, was from Marblehead, Mass. He was a really good boatsman in winter conditions. So Washington put him in charge of that part of the project. This is his statue near the Boston Common. So he was involved in Washington's crossing. The original painting was in Germany and was destroyed in bombing in World War II, but this is the one you've all seen if you've been to the Metropolitan Museum in New York. Nice big painting. And it's been the inspiration for parodies, maybe is the wrong word, but memes and other things that like the theme of Washington and the guys crossing the river. And I really commend this book to you by David Hackett Fisher called Washington's Crossing. It's a lot about the fighting, but it's a lot about the painting. A great book, a great topic.